Good afternoon, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. So, came into work this morning. I have Thursdays, Fridays off. Saturday is my first day of the week. And the first thing I always do is go to my email, check my emails, see if I have any potential orders in there. And then I check to see where pricing is, because we do a price update on generally on Wednesdays and again on Friday. And the prices have been moving so dramatically lately. Now, sorry, I guess I should let you guys know. I work at a lumber yard. I have my fingers on the pulse of the industry. I do retail sales for a living. So I sell like 2x4s and plywood. That's what I do. And the plywood prices have just been crazy. Now, I put out a warning, a few weeks back telling everybody, it's like, man, if you need plywood, you might want to get it right now because the prices are going to go very high. And wow, did they ever. And so I know I sound like a broken record. If you've been watching my channel for any length of time, I've been talking about lumber like every single day, it seems like. But it's just so much going on, and it just has so much potential into what's going to happen with the future of construction here, that I gotta, if there's changes, I gotta tell you guys to it. So anyhow, this is the thing. I get a lumber newsletter, like an update, kind of tells me what the what's going on in the different regions throughout the country. And one of the things that I notice, I mean, it's the same story, short supply, prices are high, short supply, prices are high. But one of the things that I'm starting to notice as far as the tone in some of these in some of the comments is that a lot of people are starting to see the downside risk. Like before, it was so much demand. It was just like, okay, if you could find it, buy it, find it, buy it. But now the prices are just so high. Okay, just to kind of give you guys an idea, I still do. A couple years ago, I was selling half-inch CDX for about $18 to $22 a sheet. Today, when I came into work and I checked the price, we are now selling it at $58. Just 10 days ago, we were selling it at $49. It's gone up. We were selling it at 58 and some change. 58.75, I think is what it was. So this half-inch CDX has essentially gone up $10 in 10 days. It's gone up $1 every single day for the last 10 days. And I look at that and I'm like, that can't last. That cannot last. And things that can't go on forever won't. And when I start to see these comments of people who are starting to say, hey, we're only keeping on hand what we need and holding back on buying any more because of the potential downside risk, that if there is a turn in the market and the prices start to drop and they drop dramatically and you're sitting on an entire inventory of very expensive lumber, you're going to take a huge loss when you have to go to be competitive and to sell your lumber against a whole bunch of other lumber yards that are buying cheaper lumber every day. The downside risk is very high. And that's for anybody. It's not just lumber yards. That's, builders. That's, anybody who's involved in this game. And so I'm thinking, when I start reading this downside risk potential, like, people are starting to get concerned about that. It's a shift. I had not seen that before. You look at all the things that are starting to change. Look at the attitude of the Federal Reserve saying, we don't mind the interest rates rising on the long-term treasuries. No big deal. That's all right. Look at some of the, I was just reading Russia increased their, I didn't even know that until this morning, that Russia has started to increase their interest rates. Japan is talking about, monetary tightenings. Brazil, all these places all over the world, China, everybody's starting to tighten up their currencies. Everybody's starting to move into a shift from dropping interest rates to higher, lifting interest rates going up. So the downside risk is absolutely astronomical right now. If you think about it, the higher the lumber prices go, the more downside risk there is to that. I used to sell plywood for $18, for $20 a sheet, and I'm selling it now for close to $60. It is so far out of whack that the high grade stuff, the AC, and now that's the other thing I can kind of compare it to, is that the AC is now cheaper. We were able to buy and sell half-inch AC for cheaper than we could sell the CDX for right now. Almost all the plywood's the same price. These things are unrealistic, and when they're unrealistic, they're not going to last. So we're coming into some serious downside risk. In order to keep these prices elevated to this kind of level on both homes, building materials, stock market, everything, the interest rates have to remain low, and the Federal Reserve has to continue doing the quantitative easing. But we're looking around the world right now, and we're starting to see the shift, the change. It's not going to happen rapidly. Not if I don't think it would happen rapidly anyway. But it's going to happen. And man, when that reversal takes place, I don't know how far it could go. Like, are we going to revert all the way back down to $18 a sheet plywood? What is that going to do for everybody out there right now who has a construction job going? Think about how competitive their home is going to be against somebody who's building a home with $18 a sheet plywood as opposed to $60 a sheet. You know, you see those headlines saying that there was a $25,000 increase to the cost of building a home. That was a while ago. Okay? That wasn't at $60 a sheet plywood. That was at like $30 a sheet plywood. $35 a sheet plywood. Now we're at $60. And we may be going higher over the next couple of weeks. So you thought $25,000 increase to the cost of a home was expensive. Try $35. Maybe even $40. Who knows? $50. The downside risk potential right now is off the charts. And it doesn't excite me. It doesn't excite me to be part of that game. It concerns me. It concerns me to see how far it can go. Because the higher it goes, every day, when I go and look at prices going up again, it's just even more downside potential risk. It's like, it's like blowing that bubble up and just waiting for it to pop. And every day it seems to be going a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. So how much longer do we have? Who knows? Who knows what the Federal Reserve can play for their games? Who knows what potential tools they have in their toolbox that nobody has ever heard of or anticipating? Who knows if they're just going to let the interest rates rise and let the asset bubble deflate all on its own, slowly? You think about it. They say that they're being accommodative, that they are going to stay accommodative, that they are going to be, supporting households and businesses. And yet, the interest rates continue to rise. Mortgage rates are rising right now. So they say one thing, but are they? All right, I got to go back into work. Uneducated Economist, you guys let me know.